Hello, we are live and welcome to today's live stream with Brand&Athlete. I'm so excited. Today we have Miami of Ohio's Raegan Lantz. Raegan, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I'm so excited for today and just to talk and learn.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We're going to talk about how you're balancing sports, some, major things you have going on in your life. You're going to talk about building your brand, where you want to go, and walk away with a short-term plan. How does that sound?
Amazing.
All right, we're going to do some live coaching live. You can also jump in the questions if you're on YouTube, and we will answer them. So chat, go ahead and jump in. Think of your questions along the way. Before we get started on all this, I have to thank our friends over at Influxer. I want to give them a huge shout out because you know why? They've recently launched a marketplace where athletes can customize their merch with their own name and number and make it possible for fans to directly support them. When the merch sells, the athletes earn a profit, real direct value for their hard work and for their brand. Here's the thing, though. Influxer is not just a platform. They've got over 30,000 athletes with over 400 licensed schools involved. They're creating systems where athletes aren't just playing the game, they're building their own brands. And partners like Influxer were able to bring you this show, empowering athletes to grow their audience, grow your opportunities. And without Influxer, we couldn't do it without them. So huge shout out and thanks for the support. So today, though, it's all about helping you, Raegan, understand your brand a little bit more, set some short-term, long-term goals, and give you some tips that you can apply to your journey. How does that sound?
I love it. I can't wait.
Okay, we're going to jump right in then. So here's what we're going to do. I want to talk about where you want to go because I think that is the most important part of this conversation. And then we'll talk about who you want to serve. But let's talk a little bit about your short-term goals. Anything from monetizing your brands and your platforms and your audience and the content. Like, what is it that you would like to do over? Let's just think about the micro, the next 30 to 60 days.
In the next 30 to 60 days, I would really love to just grow my accounts, really. Start growing in followers on my TikTok. I'm close to 7,000, so I would really love to get to 10,000. Just continuing to get that outreach and then also working on posting more consistently, just to get it out there and keep pushing those algorithms.
Okay, so that was, you said, so, and then on Instagram, you have around, I'm looking at it now, we're in real time, people. And first of all, tell everybody what your handle is so they can follow you.
My Instagram handle is Raegan Lantz, and then my TikTok is in my Instagram profile, but it's also Ray Grace. So.
Okay. So maybe go to Raegan Lantz on Instagram, and then you can go from there, find a link. Oh, yeah, here it is right here. I see it. And you can get right to your TikTok. And you have about 1,777. And then what other platforms are you? Are you on X, formerly Twitter?
I'm mostly on TikTok and Instagram.
Okay.
X I only had for recruiting purposes, but I don't really post.
Okay. And what about just going through them all? YouTube, LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's also just Raegan Lantz, but I'm not on YouTube.
Okay. All right. Cool. We're all about starting where you are. So that's just where we're talking about that. I think it's important as we go and we talk about your journey to not just think about these great lofty goals, but what are some things along the way that we could do and celebrating some small steps along the way. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your long-term goals. Now, I know what you want to do at school, or actually, what are you studying right now?
I am studying, this is a mouthful.
Okay.
My major is human capital management and leadership.
Okay, break that down for us.
It's like the more people side of HR, with a little bit of management and like marketing in there. So it's a lot about how people work in the workplace and the best way to manage people.
Yeah. Okay, that's a fancy way.
Person, so I think it's super interesting. I'm in a class right now and we learn all about like how to best motivate people and what leadership styles work and all the things.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So I love that for you, and that's going to be good. We're going to hold on to that for a second. All right. So short-term goals, we kind of nailed those out. You want to grow those platforms, and then what I would love to do is talk to your goals, and then on the backside, come up, help you craft out some smart goals that are attainable. And then so talk to me about what you would like to do. Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 2 years? Right. This is, let's say you're about to graduate, right? We don't know exactly where you'll be because things can happen, but let's say you're in that. Where would you like to be content wise as a creator and as a brand?
2 years, I would really love to have a platform where I've reached a lot of people. And I'm working with more brands and also doing more like speaking events or public speaking and any of those sorts. Mostly to kids with either autoimmune diseases or anything that may, in a term, like prevent them or prohibit them in any sort of way,
Okay.
just to show them that nothing has to stop them, and they can reach their goals. And it's just a matter of how they get there. And it's not always perfect, but they can get there. So that's really what I want to work towards, is just having that platform to share that message with a lot of people.
Okay. I love that. You really want to help people on their journey. What about, let's say, like a little bit past that? Like, I know that you're studying. I'm gonna say HR because I can't recall
It's
that.
basically HR.
I can't remember, Reagan. I'm not,
It's
I'm just a
okay.
creative. I'm just a creative here, storyteller. Um, but where would you like to be in the 2 to 5 year range? The reason why I ask is, like, I think a lot of times people are scared to say what they really want to do, right? And maybe if you want to be someone like, hey, I want to be a full-time content creator, or I want to be fill in the blank, what is it that you aspire to be?
In 2 to 5 years, I would love to be playing pro volleyball. So that's my first goal before going into the workforce. But if that were not to work out, um, really, I would love to work maybe for a nonprofit like Special Olympics, or for working for someone like Dexcom, one of my machines. Or really, I would take any job that hired me. I
Willing
would
to
love to
work.
live in the South, so location would probably help where I ended up. But most of all, I want to help people, and I want to be working with people in some sort of sense, or a role that would put me into situations where I would get to do public speaking.
Okay, I love that. You want a platform to help people, to help them solve their problems, to inspire and to empower people. Okay, got it.
Mhm.
So let's talk about the audience you'd like to serve. I think one of the key things, and I think when people lock into what they want to do and they focus on who they're serving, then it's easier to make content because you have this idea. In marketing, you have like a client profile. And this one, it's like an audience. It might be for you, for example, hey, I want to help people who have type 1 or type 2 diabetes, or I want to help someone who is recovering from cancer. It could be all of the above, right?
Mhm.
And so then when you're making it, you're saying, well, what do they need? So that's why I asked, what audience would you like to serve? Who is that? And what do they look like?
Yeah, the main audience I would want to serve is people with type 1. I think there's not enough visibility of type 1 in sports and really a lot of aspects of the world right now. I mean, it's gotten bigger, which I'm not happy that more and more people are getting type 1. But now that more people have it, I think it's just important for people to see other people like them and create that community there. So I would say mainly people with type 1, but also anyone with any autoimmune disease, and just anyone who's maybe mental health, going through a hard time, facing a lot of obstacles in a rough patch of their life or
Yeah.
season, just to give some encouragement.
Okay, I love that. And I don't want to talk past this. Describe what type 1 diabetes is to someone who may not know. They've heard these numbers. They're
Yeah.
like, what is that? I'm not sure.
Yeah. So type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. Um, So you are technically born with it, but not, because it's a gene that gets triggered by an environmental factor. So they're not really sure what triggers it. You can have the gene and never have type 1. But basically what happens is your immune system is overactive and it kills your beta cells, which produce insulin. And insulin is what changes the carbs you eat into energy. So without insulin, your body starts breaking down your fat and muscle for energy, which is really, really bad and can cause a lot of problems. And people that don't know the symptoms can end up going into something called DKA.
Okay. What does that stand for? What does that mean stand for?
It's diabetic ketoacidosis. And that's when your body is basically shutting down. You've lost a lot of weight. Your blood sugar is so high that your organs start shutting down. And then you can get really, really sick and end up being in a coma or going to the hospital.
Okay. Well, a couple quick things before we move on. Like, when were you when did you find out that you have type 1 diabetes, and what does that look like for you? Because it sounds like there's a range of symptoms.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed when I was 14. Fun fact, I actually diagnosed myself. My
How
oldest
did you
brother
do that?
also has type 1. So I knew the symptoms from when my mom diagnosed him, because my mom's a nurse. So basically, I started losing a lot of weight. I was eating a ton. I was extremely exhausted. I was drinking a ton of water. Because your blood sugar is so high, you start drinking a lot of water to try to flush those ketones out of your body. So you're also using the restroom a lot. But basically, you just get really, really depleted of energy because your body's not changing over the carbs to energy,
Okay.
and fat and muscle are not the greatest sources of energy.
Okay.
And my 14-year-old body did not have a whole lot of fat to burn through. So I quickly went from burning through the fat to my muscle. So I started also noticing my legs getting smaller and such. And I just was like, Mom, this is not right. So we checked my blood sugar with my brother and it read high. So we went to the doctor and they're like, yep, you have type 1. And
Okay.
then on, had to get used to my new lifestyle.
But one of the things that I love about your journey is it didn't stop you.
No, not at all. I had already set my mind on playing volleyball in 8th grade, and I was diagnosed like a week after 8th grade ended, and never was it a thought in my mind that it was going to stop me.
Okay. You know what it reminds me of? I think it's Fat Joe and Remy Ma. I'm all the way up. Right? That's you. Right? I mean, which is funny, in a previous conversation you had shared that around the 8th grade you discovered that you wanted to be a volleyball player, right? And then around the same time you discover you have type 1, but
Mm-hmm.
yet here you are.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel so blessed to be in the position I am, and also to have such a great support system around me too, to help me get to where I got and where I am now. So just big shout out to my family.
Yes. Shout out to your family, whole family, mom, dad, and everybody. Brothers, sister. Okay. All right. So want to talk to you. So we're getting a clear picture of, we've talked about your goals. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about your audience. We've learned some things about you, right? Like how you got here, what motivates you, what inspires you, and who you would like to serve. And so I want to talk a little bit about your brand deals, right? How many brand deals have you had so far? You can give me a range if you want to. You don't have to give the exact number. And what have those experiences looked like to you?
Yeah, I've only had a few. Some of them have ended, like they revamped some things and and that have turn over all the things. But my main one that I had the longest has been my NIL deal with Dexcom, which is one of the machines I use. Dexcom is my continuous glucose monitor, which reads my blood sugar. So I'm a Dexcom U athlete for them. And I've done some other little things, mostly just getting product from companies and giving them a shout out, like some caffeine gum companies, some like overlay patch companies, things
Okay.
like, yeah.
No, that's awesome. So it sounds like you have some good experiences. You've got some long-term deals, you've had some intermediate deals and some short-term deals, right? So okay, and then and from that, just looking over your account, you're doing and have done content to promote those. Talk to me about that. Like, what kinds of things have you done? And then what's your experience? Like, have you enjoyed it? What did you learn? What was tough?
Yeah. Well, last year during the season, I was making content for the Victory insoles, which that I really liked it. I mean, they have a great product, but the hardest thing I think was figuring out how to make a TikTok for shoe insoles,
Yeah.
especially since I couldn't like show my school, so I couldn't really make things in the gym because there was Miami everywhere. Um, and so also just trying to be creative and like doing funny things with my insoles and holding them up and things like that. And then for Dexcom, I make posts for them. Like it's in my contract, I make a certain amount of posts per year.
Okay.
And for them, I've done little things with like showing how my Dexcom has helped me do all the things that I do now, or like a day in the life, or just showing like my machine. And then mostly it's like a caption of just something encouraging or relevant to something that's going on. So I had to make a post for this month because this month is Diabetes Awareness Month.
Okay.
It's getting approved currently, but
Gotcha.
it's just like a little video of something I'm doing this month, to just help me with my mental health, and then also in regards to how my CGM helps me have gratitude every day.
Okay. What's CGM?
CGM is continuous glucose monitor.
Okay. I just have to ask because I know, but I just
No,
want to
that's
make
okay. I love the questions.
All right, so talk about that. I did a quick search. I also found you, which is not a plug. I'm just happen to mention this. You're because we interview people. You happen to be an influencer student athlete, and I saw you
Yes.
on there as
Oh my
well.
goodness. How did I forget about them?
No, no. I didn't say you forgot. You said you forgot. I didn't say you forgot. I don't think you forgot. We
I
were
was
just
just
actually progressing
forefront of
through
my
your deal.
mind.
We're just going through your deals, Raegan.
Yes. No, I have a Influxer site with my merch and my
Yep.
number on it. And then I've also used their marketplace,
Okay.
which is awesome. I love it. Love looking through there, seeing what I can do for them, and they make it really easy for us to continue to build our content. And they've been amazing for helping me. I did get one with them for a concussion video.
Okay. That's really cool. No,
Yeah,
because it's
so
I mean, a lot of
it was
people don't know
awesome.
in volleyball that that's that, and for any athlete or anyone actually that's super important.
Mhm.
Okay, so are there any other platforms or partners that you're working with outside of that? Do you
Not
have
that
like any affiliate deals, like an Amazon store or?
No, I don't. What? I'm trying to
I
think.
like that
I've
face.
I've applied for some, but then like never heard back.
Understood, and that's part of
So
it, right? It's like,
yeah, and some of them are just like it's in just like one of their things. So I'm sure they get like a billion emails a
right.
day. So it could
Okay,
just get lost. But no, there's not any others that I can think of right now that are like
okay.
active that I'm doing.
No, I think we're good. And we're just, really getting a great assessment before we, it's kind of like being a doctor, right? Like we have to
Yes.
listen to everything, take all the
Yes.
symptoms and understand what you're going through before we come up with a plan. Okay.
Mhm.
So those are the platforms that you're working on. And so as we keep moving a little bit forward, we talked about your brand deals. And I think one of the things that's so important is finding partnerships that really align with your brand, your quality, and have your same values. I think that's the biggest thing. And it sounds like you're doing that. So that's a plus. And then I think as we move forward and we build out your plan, I think we'll continue to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about your interests outside of volleyball and how you can bring those alive. And because one of the big things I'm a big believer in is just doing the things that you naturally love. For
Mhm.
example, last week came up with this idea on a Wednesday. Text Kitty Webb's like, hey man, I want to do this. Do you have time on Saturday to do a live stream? She's like, yeah, okay, cool. So Friday, I texted the outline, and it was this show, which is stuff that I'm interested in. I think she has shared interest in, which is social media culture, sports, entertainment, and she also likes like lifestyle and hair and things like that. So within 72 hours, the reason I'm saying this is like we're talking about things that we naturally love, and then from there we've got a show, we've got outputs. And the reason why I say this is I know some people listen to me say, man, he keeps saying that, he keeps saying that. And this is like the proof of what I'm talking about. We didn't do any logos. We didn't worry about branding. We didn't do anything. We just jumped on a live stream.
Mhm.
First, see our first video. Within 10 hours, it had like 500 views on Instagram alone. And it had an hour's watch time, excuse me. So an hour watch time means that people watched it all the way through, right? That's
Mhm.
literally the watch time. So we had like a one clip, 60 seconds. And I share this because it's great to give like this. I think we need to talk about the macro, which is a philosophy.
Mhm.
And then we also need to talk about the tactical. And that's like a tactical deal. And that happened in 72 hours. And understanding that your brand is really the content and that you learn by doing, just getting involved. So
Yeah.
we're back to you. What are some of your interests outside of volleyball? That you could bring to your platforms? Like what are some of the things that really excite you?
So now that you mentioned hair, I love hair. I just love doing hair. I love like finding new styles and trying new things. I also love doing hair for other people. And it just
Okay.
makes me, it's really relaxing. I do it because it relaxes me. But also, I just love like it goes back to how much I love people. I love seeing someone like if they ask me to do their hair, I like get excited. I'm like, can I please touch your hair? Like, can I
So
please
you
do
like
it?
on TikTok and laying in bed, like looking at hair videos?
Literally, I kid you not, you can ask any of my teammates because I mean, I like switching it up sometimes, but I also have my hairstyles that I like rotate through.
Sure.
But every time I'm like, what should I do? Guys, like which one should I do? Should I try something new? And then Pinterest, TikTok, it's probably my search bar.
Okay.
Volleyball hairstyles. Hair inspo.
So these are really for when you're playing, right? Because you're playing all the time. You need like things that you can do that are quick, but
Yes.
then you want to switch it up, right?
Exactly. Well, and also like this is on ESPN Plus. There's people
Right.
taking pictures. You never know who's in the crowd. My hair's gotta look good. Also, I'm a firm believer in look good, feel good, play good.
You know
So
who that sounds like prime time right there. Colorado. Who shout out to Colorado. I just want to say they could be. I know this is a big quick sidebar, but they could be in the hunt for the Big 12 championship. So you're right on time. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. So I love hair. Love it. Always
Okay,
have.
so that's one of your interests. So you love it's something that really inspires you. You like looking at it, you like looking at content and it
Yes.
inspires you. Okay. So what other things we know you've got volleyball, that's why we're not going to hit on that yet. We have hair. What other things do you naturally already do?
Yeah. So I'm a very strong believer of Christ. So I would
Okay.
say just showing the Lord's joy is a big thing that I love to do.
Okay.
And just talking to people about it and sharing his joy just through my actions.
Okay.
I don't know if that's like technically a hobby, but it's something I like to do
I think
and
it's the interest, right?
off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something that's very important to you.
yes, and it's something like outside of volleyball, when I can, I go to crew, and then I'm working with one of my friends to get athletes in action back here on
Okay.
campus. So that's just something I'm really big into right now and trying to get started back up.
Okay. So one of your things right now, you're on a journey to help fellow student athletes in their walk and their faith,
Mm-hmm.
and your goal is to have um, a new is it FCA chapter on campus?
It's like, so AIA and FCA are a little bit different. They're
Okay,
different.
which one are you doing?
Athletes in Action,
Okay,
AI.
athletes. My bad, my bad. No, I
No,
know it's like
yeah.
Coke and Pepsi
There
now.
used to be one on campus last year, but then the guy that ran it got married. So he left,
He's like,
and
"See
then
you,
it
bye,
kind of
bye,
just like
bye."
fizzled away.
Yeah.
So me and a girl on the soccer team, she had reached out to Athletes in Action, and
Okay.
we got a call set up, and so we're
Okay.
working on it.
I love it. So you guys are on this journey to start Athletes in Action, which is a very powerful global
Yes.
organization. They work in many sports. Thousands of people around the globe work for them. Okay, so do we have those things? Do you have anything else? Anything that you naturally already like to do?
Thinking. I love nature
Okay.
because it's very relaxing. And I think it's something we take advantage of too much because we're always surrounded by it.
Yeah.
But I love going like for walks on trails or finding new like little paths to go on, or even just to walk and talk with friends. I also, that this made me think of another thing. I love coffee and I love
Okay.
coffee shops. And it's also another time to connect with friends. So, yeah.
Okay.
I
I'm a big
I
coffee
do
lover.
homework better in coffee shops than I do like anywhere else.
Okay. I love. So you're a big coffee fan. You love coffee shops.
Yes.
Do you like trying out new coffees and shops because you travel with volleyball?
Oh, yes. Well, okay. The thing is, with where hotels are, depend on how adventurous I can be with my
Right.
coffee. And this year it was just always Starbucks because that was the only thing on Uber Eats.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
No,
kind of sad
the
because I'd
struggle is
always
real.
look for something local, but then I couldn't find anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love
But I'd
that.
love to, I would pick a local coffee shop over a chain any day.
Yep. 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 Okay. I love it. So we have some things along with volleyball. And one of the things is I think we go talk about what kind of content. I think we just outlined it, right? And one of the things I always talk about is Gary Vee's strategy that he outlined, which is document over creating, right? So which is talk just document what you're already doing, right? And having diversity of content, whether it's photos, graphics, videos, everything doesn't have to be Instagram reels. So,
Mhm.
and then one of the things that as you talk about your journey with type 1 diabetes, one of the things I think about is an audience on health and wellness tips, right? Which would cover that along with a larger audience, right? Because I think there's so many people out there. Like I just saw a survey that like people under 35, for example, are like fastly like not drinking any longer. And so I was like, wow, they're not going out. And the main reason was for health. And number two is for mental health. So I just think there's an audience out there of people who would like to do those things, right? So we're talking about like wellness tips, and diet. When I say diet, just what we're eating, the kinds of things and motivation related, to diabetes. Those are kind of things I think about from what you described. What does that sound like to you? How does that sound?
I mean, that sounds amazing. It sounds great. It sounds like something that would be really easy to do and just incorporate it into the things I'm already doing, but
Yeah.
just documenting it.
Yeah, like on the food, you're already doing these tips and you've been doing it and you've learned lessons and can share, hey, this is what I learned that works. And this is one of the things I found that doesn't work, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I think it's all about sharing our successes and our failures.
100%. You can't grow without failing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And oftentimes, at least for me, like some of my biggest lessons in life have come from times when I didn't hit the mark where I wanted to, but I don't always look at them as a failure. I look at them as like a learning opportunity
Yeah, you
because
should
like,
never look at it as a failure.
yeah,
Some entrepreneurship classes too.
yeah.
It's all about failure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I love that you mentioned that because I was walking and I was thinking, excuse me, and so many people love the position that someone's in, like people they see on their TikTok or their Instagram or life, but like a lot of people don't want to go through the failures that they went through to get there,
Mhm.
right? Like I
They
was
just wanna
watching
be there.
Yeah, everybody knows I love SpaceX. That's my little space guy. Sorry, wrong shoulder. This guy right here. This is a space guy, and he puts out light. But one of the things I love is like I was watching this documentary on SpaceX, and it was going through like they literally almost went bankrupt. Their last launch, they were down to like their last $1 million for
Mhm.
SpaceX, and like it's on Netflix. You can watch it, and they literally had like everything was down, and it was like it was blowing up on the pad. It was getting off like 10 seconds, blowing up. It was blowing. I mean, there's a lot of blowing, just pow, pow, pow on this, right? and so now you look at it, they're doing historic things, but the point is that like they learned quickly.
Mhm.
They had a lot of failures, but they learned quickly. So I think that translates, and that's one of the things I love about space is it's kind of like what we're doing. It's like what you're doing now. You're like in this situation of like, okay, this is who I am. I want to build this brand. Then I'm gonna try these different things and see
Mhm.
what works.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes sense, but all
Oh,
right. So
100%. No, it makes sense.
yeah. All right. So let's shift to platform specific topics. How do you plan to organize your content, and what are your biggest struggles that you're having?
I feel like my biggest struggles are when it comes to I just need to like plan things out a little bit more, like have a rough like I'll make this type of video this day and post or whatnot, and like having just a little bit more structured to like when I post, how often I post. I think the consistency is my issue right now. Is like I'll have something do pretty well and then I won't post anything for a while.
You get all excited, like, yeah.
Or I'll post another thing and expect it to just do the same
Yeah.
because I posted it like quickly after. But I think it's just being better about being consistent and then continuing to try different things out to see what's really getting out there and like connecting with people.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Before we go further, I gotta throw a shout out here to my co-host Keith Miller. He is, for many of you know, he works with Influxer and he travels the country speaking. And this guy, like his schedule is like it's crazy. It's like a CEO schedule. He is like everywhere all the time, and so he's not able to make it. He'll be back next week, and he's just so sorry he missed it. But then it's like he was like, "Go ahead, have it without me." It was kind of like a sad conversation, but
I met him.
talk about that. When did you meet him?
He came with Kendra with Influxer to Miami at the beginning of the year and just gave a little talk about NIL and how Influxer is there to help and um, things to look out for, like in terms of contracts and words to look out for. It was extremely helpful and it was just really cool to hear their side of it and from more of like a corporate company side. And it was just also so encouraging to talk with them too after and get their insights and what they think about things I'm trying to do. And yeah, it was
Yeah.
really cool. Really awesome people.
Yeah, shout out to Kendra. She also works at Influxer. She's runs the NIL marketplace. She's incredible. You can find her all
Amazing.
over social media. She runs the marketplace and really works and does coaching as well with student athletes. So no, that's so awesome because I think getting information, getting inspired, is so very important because like it has to live outside of our head. Like it takes so much to create content. So
Yeah.
so thankful for them. So, all right. So, what are the big, so your biggest struggles, I just want to make sure I understand this, are consistency, which I think we can solve with coming up with some kind of pillar content, as we call it. Like this show is a pillar content,
Mhm.
vibe check with Jay Hicks. Like that's a pillar piece of content that I know that I'm going to do, and developing those things for you, right? So I think we can solve for that. What about posting? Do you struggle with posting at all? Because like I do know you're very heavy on TikTok and Instagram. And when I say that, like a lot of times, like I, for example, we post to like 7 places. Like
Mhm.
we're on LinkedIn, X, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Pinterest. Did I say LinkedIn? Those are the places. I might have missed one. but it's a little bit. So what about you though? What's your, do you find that as a struggle or pain point at all?
No, I don't think that the posting like is an issue because if I have the content, I feel like I will post it. I'll just post it because trying to grow and everything. I
Yeah.
think it's more just that original creating of the content and being consistent with it. Because once I feel like I get to posting and once I feel like I start getting into a rhythm of things, it's gonna just be like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. No, I love that. And one tip for the, and you're already doing this, but for those watching, like one of the big things, like, and this is different. And Reagan, you've probably even noticed this is like the difference between 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, you could put a reel out there, bam, it's 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Now you have to work for it. One of the things I encourage everyone to do is to really lean in to the copy. Right? Like thinking about what works, what delivers immense value to the user who's going to receive that, contextual to the platform, right? So what works on TikTok copy wise versus what goes on and what works on Instagram and X and LinkedIn and the different audiences, right? It's a little bit more professional on LinkedIn, may not probably use emojis. Your audience is different. So I think if we lean into that is so, and Reagan will know this, she and I were communicating about this. Like I write sometimes, if you look at it, I write like longer pieces. And I think one of the things that it does too is that when people are interested, then they'll go and click more. But then also too, it also helps the platform and it also helps the algorithm, the AI behind it, understand who you are and what's this content, so it could then deliver it to the people that are who normally receive that content. I don't know if that makes sense, but I found that to work really well.
No, that makes sense. I mean, too, with the little bit of a longer, the reels that I find that have that, I end up reading it and it's playing over and over and over. So I'm really up in those analytics for them.
Man, there's a method to the madness. I appreciate you saying that, Reagan. And you weren't even coached up on that. All right. So I think that's it. One of the things I think one should be definitely to produce more content. And then with time, maybe out of season, because I know you guys are at the tail end here, expanding our distribution. Because what I think to be like in 2 years to be a content creator who's making a decent amount of money, right? Like I think having X and having LinkedIn and some of the other platforms would be very valuable to you, right? Because then you can say, hey, like these are the amount of views that I have. Someone that we had on, shout out to Connor Prince, the GOAT of NIL, basketball player, D3. He had 200 plus deals. Follow him. I am Connor Prince. If you are not following him, he is a great follow. He does really great content and it's unique to basketball. He has, I believe, over 500,000 Snapchat followers. Let me
I
say
have
that again.
thought about that one
You know what
once.
I'm saying? And I forgot that on mine.
The way I've thought about it is I first need to grow on Instagram and TikTok before someone's going to follow my Snapchat
Right.
stories.
And what we're doing over there really quickly is a Snapchat Spotlight. And Spotlight is at the bottom right if you're looking. You can browse it in. And it acts very much like TikTok and Instagram Reels. So that's what it is. And that's where people will follow you. And uh, if you're on Snap, I would encourage you to start watching more of that content besides your stories and then distributing. So think about that reel that you just made, that TikTok. Now we're just distributing it one more place, right? In the same vertical format. So
Yeah.
see how we're getting a little tactical here. You see what I'm saying? We're
Yes,
picking up
yes.
some rhythm. All right. So that's one of the things I think we could do. And again, I don't think it has to be all overnight. I think that's a like, hey, let's pick up maybe the Snap because you're already on Snap. So you're not talking about adding a channel. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
can I also add it to Spotlight? And if
Mhm.
for anybody who doesn't know, just any of these things we're talking about, guys, that you're not familiar with, and we're talking to the chat right now, just go into YouTube, specifically go to TikTok or Google search and just type in what is whatever we're talking about. In this case, what is Spotlight? Now I know you know, but other people, so you guys use that because we want to stick to a little bit higher. Before we keep going, if you guys have questions, talk to me, chat. What platforms are you on How are they working for you? And what platforms would you like to add? All right. So we're going to keep it pushing here. Let's talk about what kind of content naturally comes to you. I know you love your dance videos. You do. I'm jealous, actually. You do really good. You do good dance videos.
No, I love dancing. I danced for 10 years. And then I gave it up to play volleyball, partially because I didn't like my dance studio where I moved anymore. And also because I had time-wise pick one over the other. And
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be a professional ballerina.
Because dance is also intense on the practice times.
It's, yes, very intense. Like studio times, you're there basically all day after school, like late taking a bunch of classes, which doesn't work with an athlete's schedule to do both.
Especially when you were probably in high school playing travel ball.
Oh, yeah. No, it was crazy. I mean, I did track too in high school, but the only reason
Wait, what event did you do?
So every year I did something a little different. I always high jumped.
Okay.
But my sophomore year I high jumped. I did the 300 hurdles, like the 400 and the 4x4.
Okay. And how tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
6'1". Oh, so you were killing those hurdles in the high jump and the 300. Yeah, you were killing.
Yeah, my form was horrible because I couldn't ever practice.
Right.
Because he was the only coach that would work with me with my club practice schedule and everything. And so that meant I was never at a full practice.
Right.
So it made it difficult to get like really good at something, but I was athletic and my team needed more athletic people. So
Okay.
then my junior year, I said, no more hurdles.
Had enough.
No more. They hurt my body too much. So then I long jumped and high jumped. And then I was in like the 4x4 again and like
Okay.
400, but my asthma didn't like the 400.
All around athlete here.
And then senior year, I just high jumped, and then I was in the 4x2 and like the 200.
Okay. You could tell Texas. Yeah, it had to be Texas to do 4x2. Nobody loves the 4x2 like Texas high school sport.
I loved the 4x2.
Did you run the Texas Relays? No. You guys probably didn't go to Texas Relays.
No, not in Michigan.
Oh, you were in Michigan then?
Yeah.
Okay.
High school, I was in Michigan.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you were in Texas. My bad.
Texas was all of elementary school.
Oh.
And then I moved after.
Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna get us back on track. So so let's talk about that. So we have your dancing, which you feel like you have your sports routines, and then we kind of outline some of your interests, and those could be some of the things that you're already doing, right? And I think
the things I posted now are either dancing or related to my type 1.
Yeah.
Or like team stuff like volleyball.
Okay. So one of the things that I think we're really big, I'm a big, like 1% guy, right? Like, can we get 1% better today? Right. Like I did Friday and then, you know what I mean? Because I think sometimes in our minds, it's so easy to have these expectations that are so lofty. They almost set us up to be disappointed, right? Like people think like I'm gonna start, and then by next Tuesday I'm gonna be, like Kai Cenat, breaking streaming records like he's doing. But I think a natural fit off the rip for me, especially coming in your off season, is could you record, for example, some of the practices you're doing that are just you, not in practice with your team, not the official. Is that an opportunity that you could take advantage of? Just like set it up with a easy tripod or
for sure. Well, now that we literally have like 4 more days of season, which is like really weird. Most of the times I go to the gym will be on my own time and like voluntary everything. So it'll be really easy. I can go with a teammate. They can help me film stuff, or I can set things up. So
Yeah, and I wonder if it's just some of the drills. I mean, you look on social media, it's amazing what, like I follow because I love sports like baseball and softball. And then like so you go to some of these like hitters and they're just taking BP, right? And the video's got like 50,000 views. Now, mind you, though, they're a D1 player and their bat is, I mean, their bat action is crazy work. It's
yeah,
crazy work.
yeah.
So maybe we could work on, and then showing different elements, right? Like
Mhm.
walk me through quickly through some of the drills that you would naturally already do.
Some drills that I would do would be like a lot of passing and a lot of serving, just because those are like closed loop skills. So it's a lot of repetition that you need to continue to get better at them. And just a lot of it is touch and feel and hand contact. So those would be most of the drills that I would be
Okay.
doing on my own. Well, passing more with another person. And then just some like connecting with my setters. So
Okay.
type of things, or even just making blocking moves, things like that.
Do you do any sort of like in the off season, any like ladder work? Like I'm just giving out some generic, like some mobility,
Yeah.
flexibility, strength,
So when I'm
speed.
home, so our Miami has a thing called J term.
Okay.
So our Christmas break is a month and a half. So when I
Wait,
finish
what?
finals, yeah. So when I finish finals like December like 14 or something like that, I go home and I don't come back until like January 25
Wow.
or 6. Like we don't start till the 27th. So I'm
Okay.
home that whole time and I'm just training. I'm getting into gyms when I can. I'm lifting. I'm working with jump trainers.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like things that I could film there and make content on.
Okay, okay. So and then what about, okay, so those are some good things. And we're not going to do all these. I'm just kind of talking through a little bit of them. What about, what are some other relatable things? I know a lot of people, of course, do the behind the scenes sports life, daily routines, consistent stories. Um, because I think what'll happen for you is as you, amplify and ramp up your content, I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna find what you like. And I think your thing is just like, how can we naturally document what we're doing and do it more consistently?
Yeah.
Right. And then because like I think everyone thinks like, man, oh, this person has this, excuse me, this great series. But like I would suggest for you, like just starting on amplifying what you're doing.
Mhm.
So and then doing it on more platforms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like even one that people sleep on. Like, do you have a Facebook page?
I have a Facebook account.
Okay. Okay. Because now we're a brand. We're a
Have an
brand. We're talking
account.
about, what I mean? Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Facebook's back in play, guys. It really is. Facebook is back in play. And especially thinking long term, right? As a content creator, you have to bet on yourself. And
Mhm.
as a brand, to have a Facebook page down the road, as you want to sell merch, maybe you write a book, maybe come up with your own products, right? Down the road, now we can target, we can identify. We built this community because we just nurtured for a year or two. And a lot of people don't want to be patient. That's like the big thing right now. Like patience, 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 right?
Mhm.
Because I think if you take the patience like a garden and you water it, you plant it, you grow it, you weed it, I think on these platforms, I think you're going to be very surprised in 2 years, 3 years where you are. And I think like it's so, like I always say, like growing up, I was like a victim of the moment. And so, and I think there's a lot of that today. And I'm just, we're just, authentically talking. So, what do you think about a potentially a Facebook page?
All for it.
Like a brand page, not a
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really want to dive into this process and get going on the
Okay.
content and everything. So whatever's gonna
Okay.
help me get there. I mean, you said a book. I have thought about writing a children's book with a couple of my Dexcom U friends, throwing around a title. So, I mean, a book could be in the works.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
Children's book, a picture book, or have the person that would do the pictures and all the drawing.
Yeah.
It's my brother.
Okay. Oh man, I love it.
He's a
It's a great
master's in
story.
visualization and is extremely talented. So,
Okay. What's your brother's name?
Colin Lantz.
Okay. Shout out to Raegan Lantz. Shout out. Okay. All right. So you see, as we're going, I think it's having that vision because I think so. I'm really agnostic to platforms. Like I love them all, and I think we should work them all. And I think a lot of times we can get like really hyper focused or laser focused on like one or two. And I think as we continue to grow, it's amazing. And just think
Yeah.
that's just distribution of content that you're already doing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So as we kind of move a little bit forward, I think naturally, organically, like on your Instagram, for example, a lot of people sleep on stories over on TikTok. And if you're doing Instagram stories, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We can put that over there on TikTok, right? And then on TikTok, just taking advantage of things like polls, timers, like we did a countdown for you, like, hey, this is a countdown, just took a picture, easy lift content, like everything does not need to be reels. And then the other thing I think for documenting, and we're gonna wrap all this up, but I think just focusing on like documenting as you go.
Mhm.
Like let's say you guys have a team lunch, like a team gathering, everybody, or you go with some people from class, or your athletes in action. Like just take a picture. Like that's a story. Story is like half the content that is consumed on Instagram. Do you feel
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then just a quick tip for you guys: if you engage with people, all right, everybody pull up your phone right now, Reagan. We're gonna do this while in real time.
Okay.
So go up to your stories. Okay. Everybody else, chat, jump in, pull up, pull up. All right. So Instagram, go to your stories. You don't have to give their names. Do you see who's on top?
Yeah.
So everybody who's to the front, to the left, those are the people you engage with the most. Keep scrolling. You have, how many people do you follow? Roughly. You
Uh,
can just give me a rough.
a little less than how many I have, so like 1,700.
So about 17. So think about this. Everybody can't be in the top end of your stories. Those are the people you engage with. So think about this. Your algorithm at the top, Instagram stories has its own algorithm, meaning what you see up there is different than your algorithm for the feed. And for reels, there's three main algorithms that run Instagram. So having great stories allows people to see your other content. It's snackable, it's light, and I love snacks. Everybody knows I love snacks.
Me
So,
too.
so you're a foodie. So that is an easy light lift because we're talking about pictures and photos so that you can and then those photos we won't get too deep into. Do you see where I'm going? How we can just amp up a little bit of what you're doing?
Yes. Sorry, I got a little distracted because the fire alarm's going off in the building across from here. I'm back in the
Where
dorm
are you, by the way?
back in the storm study room and slash bunker. And there's a window
Yeah,
because I'm on the third
Miami
floor.
of Ohio.
And the fire alarms in these buildings go off a lot.
Oh wow.
Like a lot. Like 4 a.m, you have to get out of bed and you don't
Oh
want to.
no, I couldn't do that.
And I see the lights flashing over there. So
They'd have
that
to send somebody knocking because I'm a heavy sleeper. Okay, getting us
oh,
back
you cannot sleep through this lady.
on.
Voice. There's a voice telling you to exit the building.
I'm pulling this back, Reagan. I'm pulling this back. All right. So we have more content. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. Because here's the other thing too, right? Like Q&As, those are all engagement pieces. Like I think
Mhm.
one of the things, if you focus on not just pushing out, but engaging with people and questions and answers, like think about it. Like, for example, I put one up on my own page the other day. I just was walking out of a retail chain. I literally took a picture because I just thought this. Part of my content are my thoughts. Like that's just what I do. And I took a picture. It was a Christmas tree. And I said, is it too early to put up holiday decorations? Yes or no? Took a picture and people responded.
That's a good question.
You see what I'm saying? It's real talk, guys. Is it too early right now? Because it's kind of like the white.
It's
It's like
not
wearing
changing.
white. It's very controversial. A lot of hot takes.
Halloween's done. It's Christmas.
And this stuff had been up a week. But all right. So I think having that, it'll help you grow in engagement because social media, the key is it's two-way conversation, two-way dialogue. So every content creator out there, remember, it's all about the back and forth. That's why today mainstream media is dying. And part of it is because it's just pushing out. If you look at the mainstream media, they just push out a message. You can have a news content creator and they're in the comments commenting. You could, you can, there's go to, I mean, like when I see a story of something I like, I literally turn into Usain Bolt running to the comments. I'm sprinting to get there, like this. And that's what makes social media so fun. So as you're thinking about it, have fun with it, right, guys? So, all right, let's talk about this. We got to do this. This is rapid fire. Now, I know you love to think, but I need you to go quickly, right? You're
Okay.
super fat because she was running 300-meter hurdle runner. So I know you have some speed. You got the track speed.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
First NIL check. What are you buying?
Oh, I'm buying Lululemon.
Okay. Okay. Why Lululemon?
Because I just kicked the table, sorry. I always go in there and want to buy like multiple things, but I can't get myself to do it because I can't get myself to spend $200 on like 3 things. So I just go there and buy whatever I want.
Okay. Love it. All right. Next, what brand would you love to work with?
Oh, I would love to work with Lululemon.
Why?
Because one, I want free stuff. And 2, I really like their brand and their clothes and everything they have.
Okay. All right. Next, what's the favorite post you've shared and why?
Oh, my favorite post that I've shared was probably my 5-year anniversary video that I made.
I love that. All right. Last one. One piece of advice you'd give to your younger self.
Give yourself some grace because I'm a perfectionist, and stop overthinking so much and just be yourself.
Mm, I love that. Dang, that sounds like a clothing line. I love it. I love it. The book. All right, here we go. So let's talk through. I think we have a really good. What we're gonna do is do some key takeaways. Come up with your plan. We're gonna sketch this out. But here's the thing that I think we need to talk about. So we understand what your interests are, right? You have volleyball. You have your faith, and part of your faith is an active goal to start an Athletes in Action chapter on your campus, something you're actively doing.
Yeah.
The other things is helping people on their health and wellness journey, right? And a subset of that is people who are working with type 1 diabetes, right? But it's everyone because I think everyone there's millions and millions of people out there. There are, like I was talking about, people who have stopped drinking. Like there are whole podcasts and TikToks on people who have, what do they call the drinks that don't have alcohol, but they're mocktails?
Yes.
Go follow. There's an account called Mocktails, and it's like recipes. Reagan, it has like millions of followers. There's people. It's like the party. I'm like, this is crazy. I love it. All right. So we have health and wellness, and then you love nature, right? And then you have your nature. So your walks, like photographing, and then lastly, you've got your natural volleyball drills. So I think those are your 4 pillars. Right. And so I think what your next step is to not overthink it. See what I did there? We're not going to overthink it. And I think your goal over the next 30 to 60 days is to, especially as your season is sunsetting here for this season, like figure out, like, go out and shoot content on those areas because then we'll go and drill down a little further. Like, don't, like, just take the next step. Like, can you just do that 1%? Can you give me each of those posts in a week? 1 week.
Yeah.
One post on each of those topics.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's where we go. And then, because part of that is also like the reason why we don't want to overthink it, we don't want to overdo it, is like each one of those things, like filming your practice, like figuring out like where's the camera going to be, what are we going to do, like giving yourself that grace and
Yeah.
that space to experiment and to figure out what works.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you like that?
Love it.
All right, so let's talk about this. So what is a realistic goal, do you feel like, um for the amount of content over the next like 30 to 90 days, understanding that the season's kind of sunsetting, understanding that you have a holiday, like 1.5 month of vacation coming up, like how many times, uh how often could you realistically post content, excuse me?
I think I could post pretty much every day. I think
Okay.
that's perfectly attainable, especially with stretching out between each of those things. And even just if I filmed a couple things on the same day and just spread it out,
Yeah.
whether I'm in the gym and I make a video on one drill and then on another, or do like a broad scope. So I think I could do, I don't know numbers wise, in 30 to 60 days.
Well, if we do one a day, that'd be 30, right?
Yes.
So 30 pieces, and then right then, if you put it out to each of those platforms we talked about, that's
Mhm.
technically like 5 pieces, 5 posts,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So then 5 times 30 is 150 posts.
Mhm.
Does that seem doable?
Yeah. And
That's
incorporating
like
like
one
little
piece a day
twists.
distributed to 5 platforms.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there we go. And we know, and then some of them, just a quick tip, just to take it easy, to make it easy, what you could do is like on the health and wellness, like just set up a camera and batch and just like say, hey, I'm gonna do 5 videos. And these are things that I learned. Like I'm gonna do 5. Like 2 are things that went well, two are successes, 2 are things that you learned, like, hey, I probably shouldn't do this again, it didn't work. And 1 could be just aspirational, something you wanted, like you aspire to do. That's 5. And you could just you don't even need a tripod. Just how many videos do you see on TikTok that are just like this?
So many.
The guy in the mirror, I forget his name. He's so big, he does like, come here, and he like zooms in. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I've probably seen one before.
He does like he
Seen a
started
lot of videos where people are like holding a phone.
He does it. He's super, super famous. He has like 8 or 12 million followers. And he does like the secret recipes for restaurants. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's huge. It'll come up to me. I'm gonna look it up while we're
My
talking.
phone's probably listening. I'll probably get a video sometime soon.
Um, anyway, I found him while we're talking. His name is Jordan the Stallion 8. He has 13.5. You should go follow him if you have your phone right now. 13.5 million followers, 607 that can't be almost a 500 million views. Oh my, I mean likes. Ooh. Anyway. You see him now?
Yes.
You see, so you see how that's a light lift? You don't have to shoot, edit, da, da, da. I mean, you're just doing that. Okay. So I think we understand what you want to go do. And then what do we want to set a brand, some brand deal goals for like 30 to 60 days, 30 to 90 days.
Yeah. I would say like 2 or 3 more.
Okay.
Because I feel like I can get to that,
Yeah.
especially if I'm filling out some things for like affiliate programs and things like that.
Yeah.
But then also once I build more, I think they'll start coming more as my page is just bigger and it's reaching more people.
Yep. So, so as we kind of wrap up, we know what you're going to do. We know who your audience is. Like, and I think the key is just delivering immense value. Where so many people make mistakes is they just focus on what they get out of it. Brands are the worst at this, right? They're just pitch you. There's a deal. It's 20% off, 30% off. It's this, it's that. And then people are like, ah. But I think if you share the value of what it is, like these are the things that I learned as 5 years. You say, how many years have you been at Type 1?
A little over 5.
This is the number one tip I've learned is a 5-year anniversary type 1 diabetes, and it is fill in the blank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My greatest success is, right? My
Mhm.
biggest L is, you know what I mean? Because and
Yes.
then with that, if you're thinking about how to like this show, literally that we're gonna take this coaching session, we're gonna chop it up, put it out in pieces to inspire, to motivate, to educate, and entertain content creators and student athletes. And like the show is for the people watching. It's not for me. Because if it's for me, I'd be on the couch. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the minute that light flips on for you, that it's about other people, I think that comes naturally to you, though, because from our conversations of kind of being like a servant leader and focusing on others, it's the same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? All right.
Yeah.
So, what questions, as we wrap up before we close out, what questions do you have?
Oh, I think you've covered any question I would have. This has been great.
This is it, man. This is it's it. You have a great story. It's not me, it's you. It's like
Thank
you. It's always you're the brand. It's always you versus you.
you.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not, and I think so. You get this as an athlete, and this is why I think athletes do so well at content creation. Is like I'm sure one of the things you learned in track is it's like you just have to focus on your lane.
Yep.
Right, because it's like if you don't execute and you hit a hurdle, it doesn't matter what they're doing it 4 or 2 or
Exactly.
8, right? You're
Exactly.
gonna be down.
I've learned the hard way.
You're gonna crash out. And I think it's the same thing. And I think if you just lean into that, which is something that you already have in you, and it's just focusing on that and focus on like, man, how, like you said, you actually said it yourself. How can I build a platform that motivates, that inspires, and entertains people? And I think that's you actually wrote your mission statement tonight,
Yeah.
right? So, all right. Before we close out, like tell me, like, what's your mission? Who do you want to serve? How do you want to do it?
I want to serve anyone who needs to hear it, really. I just hope that it gets to the people that are needing it in the moment and just need a little motivation or even just to relate to someone, because sometimes it's hard to see the other side or see that things will get better until you've seen someone who is either going through this something similar or has gone through another tough time and seeing where they are now, or just seeing their attitude about it. And I think that's just so important to have because it just gives perspective. So I hope I can be a positive perspective for someone who's really needing it.
Okay. And you can and you're gonna build a platform that people can find this wherever they are because you're gonna meet people where they are, right? Love it. I love it. All right. So before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit why we started Brand Athlete. Keith Miller and I, my host, he's a tremendous person. I've known him for 2 decades, and I hope everyone that's watching, gets inspired by your journey, right? Like what you want to do, but most importantly, who you want to serve. Like that's the big key. And we built this to show athletes and content creators how to focus on utilizing their voice, telling their story, which I think we've done with you, right? And it's about letting athletes share what's real. And I think that's so hard in today's world. So Raegan, you're going to close us out with some words to help people keep going and to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
So Raegan, take it away.
My words of encouragement for everyone and anyone is no matter how big something may seem, no matter how big of a wall it may seem to be, it is just an obstacle. There's always a way through, and surround yourself with good people to help you through it and give yourself grace no matter what.
That's a bar. That's a bar. I love that. I love that, man. I love it.
I live by every day.
No, that's it, man. No, I absolutely love it. That is so true, and I think we can all relate to that message. Especially there's the part about surrounding yourself. That's so key because the
Mm,
people closest to us, really are so impactful to us. So, all right, guys, Raegan Lantz, Miami of Ohio, came through, showed up, and showed out. So I appreciate you. Thank you. You're
I appreciate
authentic.
you.
Yeah, you're authentic and sharing your story, like what has worked well for you, what's been some of your struggles, and like where you want to go. And I feel like you're on your way. I like that. I'm a big movie person, so like I feel so great about this conversation because like the movie has like the arc of the story, right? And you think about
Oh
the
yeah.
beginning, and even though you're already at it, you're already a D1 athlete, and you've already achieved so much. I feel like you're at the beginning of the arc,
I would
right?
agree. I would agree.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, Raegan, before we close out, I want to thank you. Anything last things that you want to say before we close out?
No, I mean, everyone just keep pushing on. Really, just keep working.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Raegan, for coming on the show. And remember, we're sharing daily content, motivation, behind the scenes on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you want to find us. Follow us for real talk, inspiration, and everything you need to stay on track, stay connected, keep us close to you, keep pushing, and let's see where the journey goes. Raegan, thanks so much and good luck. And
Ew.
we're going to check back in with you.
Oh yes.
All right. Thanks to everybody. Thanks, chat. Everybody who came on the show. Raegan, look forward to talking to you soon and good luck with the rest of your season.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.